We closed off 2018 talking about some of our favorite things about that year. Mr. Keith Poshuk talked about his favorite movie, which was Marvel's Avengers Infinity War. I talked about Yakuza 6, The Song of Life. I love that game on the PlayStation 4, but we are a three-man show, and just somebody was missing. Somebody was missing because every time we were about to hit that record button, he faded away. He was just never there. So we
he
finally...
was like, Mr. Juan, I don't feel so good. And then
yeah, he just faded
went
away,
away,
man. But we strapped him into that chair, so even if he's got to go to the bathroom, too bad, Mr. McNulty, because you got to talk about your top 3 favorite things about 2018 and another exciting episode of A Cast to the Past with Keith Poshuk from London, Ontario, yours truly, Juan Velez from Puerto Rico. But this is not about you and me, man. We gotta lay it down.
The man of the hour, who is too sweet to be sour. Mr. Ryan McNulty is
He's
here.
actually pretty sour, though. Let's be real, Keith.
He is. He's a bit of, and he's a bit salty. A bit of a salty bee sting.
Ryan, this is about you, buddy. You ready? You excited?
It's my time, yes. So time to count down my favorite things of 2018. I realized as we were approaching that until the tail end of 2018, I didn't really experience a ton of things that were released during this year. There was a lot of 2017 stuff that I was catching up on, but I got, after procrastinating for most of the year, I think I finally caught up and have a pretty good list. So I'm going to kick things off with number 3, which is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate for the Nintendo Switch. So I'm not typically a Smash Bros. Guy. Legitimately, the last one I owned was the N64 version.
Really?
Now, I played a lot of Melee. I played a decent amount of Brawl. I did not play that much of Smash 4. But with all the hype and just the insane amount of characters, the fact that they were bringing back characters from every single version of the game, everyone's back, plus new people, I was like, all right, I gotta try this out. Plus, I'm a huge DKC, Donkey Kong Country fan. The fact that King K. Rool was in this game was also a huge reason I wanted to try it out, and I had a ton of fun with this game. It really brought me back to the days of really having a ton of fun with the N64 version in Melee. And I'm just having a blast. I love that it's really, Nintendo always finds that balance of easy to learn, difficult to master. I know Melee is like the ultra competitive version. I think this is a lot more casual friendly, but it's not too slow like a lot of people thought Super Smash Bros. Brawl was. So just that on top of tons of game modes and just a perfect party game that, I've had some friends over. We've just played for hours during like the NFL playoff games, and we've had so much fun with it. So Super Smash Bros. Ultimate's my number 3. Juan, I know you've had a chance to play it. What do you think?
I love the game, and I was a little concerned when they first announced it because I played the Wii U version once. And when they announced that this would be a little bit faster, I forgot how fast the other one was, but I'm like, you have 8-player competitive. That to me is just too much. And then when I finally sat down to play it, I haven't played 8-player ever. I know that's an option. It's good for the people that enjoy that.
Yeah,
it's
we did I did like one game of that, and I'm like, okay, let's go back to 4.
There's just something so nice about knowing that if you're playing Ganondorf, knowing that if you hit your like smash, like big punch, you're gonna hit somebody because there's just so much happening.
But I love it, and I love the fact that you can unlock the different characters. Like, I know that was a big debate about the people, which is you have so many people, right? Because everybody's here. So the fact that it takes a long time, although there are ways that you can make that go a little bit faster, and I may have done that as well. But I love to play.
Did that.
What you did?
Yeah, it's where you play for like 20 minutes, and then you'll encounter a new character, and then you can, once you unlock them, you can even if you lose, you can just exit out of the game, close it, go back in, do like a one-stock game, jump off the cliff, and then you face a new one. With 74 characters, I was just like, I want to play as everyone. I want to try people
Keith,
out.
why the look of disapproval, my friend? It still takes a while.
I know it still takes a while, but like that's honestly been one of my favorite parts of the game so far, going through and slowly unlocking those people. I really like the pace that it's given. Like, yes, you don't get to try everybody out at once, but like, okay, I just unlocked Ryu. I'm going to play Ryu for a couple games. I really like Ryu. What's that? Oh, cool. Now I'm going to unlock the villager. Oh, try the villager out for a bit and then move on to the next one. I really like that pace of just slowly unlocking everybody and actually giving them time to breathe and try them out and see if you really enjoy it.
What are your favorite characters?
So far, I would say, like, I've played Ganondorf since Melee, so he's my favorite probably of all time. I'm really enjoying Ryu. I'm trying to be good with Incineroar just because I love the fact that he's like a giant wrestler that suplexes people and stuff.
I hate his B-up so much.
Oh, it's terrible. Like,
because he just dives down and makes it really easy to die.
Yes, it does. He has terrible recovery, and that's the part I'm struggling with him. But another aspect of that you guys didn't even talk about is the single player mode and how good it is this time around. I would say that like Smash Bros would win an award for most video game of 2018 just because there's so much in it, but like I've put about 30 hours already into the World of Light mode and just going through it all, trying all those like special matches. I really like the themes of them, like, oh, you're fighting Mario with a gun and a bunny rabbit ears, so now you're about to unlock Rabbids Mario and going through all those and leveling up all the stickers. I'm having a lot of fun with World of Light mode. I've barely touched any of the multiplayer stuff yet and have put 30 hours into it and love it.
Yeah, I haven't played a ton of the World of Light mode, but man, I definitely took the wrong route in that because I didn't even look at the other characters I could have got in that kind of initial thing where you can pick like 3 characters. I just took Villager without even thinking. I thought I could go back and get the others. And then I'm not that great with Villager, so I'm kind of stuck with Kirby and Mario. And there was a fight with Bayonetta that was so unbelievably cheap. I was so frustrated because she just kept spamming this move over and over again. And I was like super frustrated. But other than that,
those unlockable battles pretty tough.
Yeah, I'm really loving the game though. Some of my favorite characters. I love Isabelle. I know that fishing hook is cheap as all hell, but she's a super fun troll character. Young Link, I'm actually really liking. Normally, I wasn't a big fan of Link, but in this game, I'm definitely liking him a lot. Like Young Link and Toon Link, and not so much regular Link, even though he's got the most power. I just don't like the responsibility of having to deal with those detonating bombs.
I don't like too much Link in this one either.
Yeah, it's too much to worry about. But yeah, there's a ton of great characters. All the sword fighter guys are just super good, like Marth and Lucina and Chrom. So it's a ton of fun. Like you really like, depending on whatever mood you're in, there's like a character to a style. So it's there's just so much variety. I'm really having a lot of fun with it.
For me, my 2 favorite characters, I'm pretty old school with the game. So one of them is Young Link, and then the other one is Kirby. Just because, I don't know, I always like doing the hard
he ain't
fall
what he
down.
used to be in the N64 version, but
no, he's not.
You know, he can still be fun.
Yeah, I still enjoy it.
Anyway, I think it's time to move on then. So, for number 2, we got another Nintendo Switch game, and this is Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. I think everyone kind of saw this coming. I'm a huge Pokemon fan, but going into this, I knew, there was the announcement that, hey, this game's coming out, but there's going to be one based more on the typical RPGs coming out in 2019. So even though it's technically they're calling this a core game, I'm still kind of looking at it as a side game, even though their gaming PR language says otherwise. So I was kind of going in like, yeah, of course I'm going to get it. I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun, but I wasn't going in with too much hype because I knew, it's a remake of Pokemon Yellow. I'm a little hesitant about there not being wild battles. But I think, I was pleasantly surprised at how much fun I have with this game, even though I've played through, the Kanto region of Pokemon many, many times. It's a very much a game changer to have Pokemon out in the wild. It just adds a whole new atmosphere to the game. They changed little things throughout the game to kind of add little like surprises for people who have played through the Kanto region before. and I really enjoyed it. And even though they had this kind of Pokemon Go catching mechanic, there was a lot of ways that they made it fun with the whole catch combo aspect of ways of getting really powerful versions of the Pokemon and making it a way to find shiny Pokemon in kind of an exciting new way to look for shinies. And taking away those wild battles really makes the pace of the game, it makes it a lot better. You go through,
so
you don't
nice.
You don't dread the rock tunnels. There's a lot more trainers in the game. Silphco, in particular, is a very daunting part of the game because there's so many trainers. But, I mean, there's even a few you could really skip if you wanted to. So it really adds kind of this new way to play, and the pacing is a little bit different. And I think it makes the game a little bit less daunting. So I really enjoyed that. It might have been a little too OP catching Pokemon in the wild because you could really power level your team real quick. But other than that, I thought it was a super enjoyable game, and I liked it a lot more. Like, I knew I was going to like it, but I liked it more than I thought I would.
Which one did you get?
I got the Pikachu edition.
Okay.
I'm with you, Ryan, where I was very skeptical going into it, thinking like, oh, this is just going to be a dumbed down Pokemon game, but I was pleasantly surprised with Let's Go. Like, yes, it is dumbed down in some ways, but honestly, I think they all ended up being positive. Like, I honestly cannot play a Pokemon game anymore that does not have like Pokemon out in the wild. Like, if the new one has random battles, I might be out. Just because I like that aspect so much of it. It adds a new element to like catching Pokemon, and it's just something more exciting about like, oh, I'm just going to run around in circles and in this patch of grass and hope to God I find an Abra. Instead, now it's like, oh, hey, there's an Abra. It's 3 patches of grass from here. I need to go run and catch it. It just adds a whole new dynamic, and it just feels so much less grindy. I love it for that reason. And then all of the end game stuff I'm really into. Like, I'm trying to go through and get all of the Master Trainer stuff now.
Those are a ton of fun.
They're a ton of fun.
That's like where the real challenge begins.
It's a huge grind, though. I'm slowly going through that. But yeah, I started this journey skeptical about even one of these games. And now I'm like, okay, let's go Gen 2. Let's go Gen 3. Let's go Gen 4. Just give me every single one of them because I want to play all of them. And it leaves me excited for the next mainline Pokemon game because I do hope that they take elements of Let's Go. Like, imagine if they had a game where you had like full capture mechanics, but you could still see Pokemon out in the wild. Like, that concept to me is so exciting.
Yeah, if there's one thing that needs to carry over to this year's game, it's seeing Pokemon in the wild. I know that's a daunting task with the main series game because, you know, I think one of the things that kind of helped was the fact that they were doing just Kanto means that they only had to have, you know, the HD sprites in, well, not sprites, models. I'm used to Pokemon and sprites being a thing, but the HD models with walking animations for 150 Pokemon. Well, now you get, assuming it's Gen 8, you're going to have over 800 Pokemon. That's 800 3D models with all different unique walking animations and attack animations. It's a lot.
Don't care. That's what I want.
We want to see it. They gave it to us, and now we want it in every game.
I think the problem is going to be that everybody's thinking about a 3D Pokemon game with the perspective that we're used to, which is slightly tilted down, and then you see the grass, and then you see everything else, right? So I think if they were to do that, I love the fact that we got this game because if you want that traditional Pokemon game or like the 3DS games, but have them look a little prettier, you got this. I didn't necessarily love the catching mechanics. I prefer them over the fact that we're not getting all these random battles because especially when you go into the caves, I agree with what you guys said. It just streamlines it, but there's still a ton of battles. So it's not like you're battling one person every 30 minutes. If anything, it reminded me of just how many battles there are in that game and how they basically extended the game by adding these arbitrary wild battles. So the fact that you have these trainer battles as opposed to the wild ones actually adds another layer of strategy. I just think the throwing ball mechanic, because I even got the Pokeball Plus, whether you have that or not, I think that it's a gimmick that quickly wears off, especially if you're grinding.
Yeah,
if you're catching a lot of the same Pokemon, it removes a fun factor. It's not fun, especially after you've done it for a couple of hours, but I'm definitely excited for the new one. I think that you're never going to be able to please Pokemon fans because if you go too deep into it, you're going to neglect the more casual audience, especially with Pokemon Go. And then if you go the other route, you're going to have the hardcore people pissed off as well. So super challenging there. But Mr. McNulty, I think you have one not so great thing on your list. Is that correct?
Yes, so I'm not going to say it's not so great, but as we've kind of called them in the past, we have our disappointment of the year. So for me, it's going to be a show, Westworld, and it's going to be specifically season 2 of Westworld, which aired this year. So I believe neither of you have seen Westworld, if I'm correct.
Nope.
Correct.
I have no idea what it is.
So I know it's like Western space. Am I right there?
Not really, but
okay.
It is
then
Western.
I know
you tried.
So
you tried.
You were half right. You were half right. So essentially, the premise of the show is that there is a theme park. This is far into the future. And there's a theme park that is basically in the style of the Old West. And there's basically, you would go there and there's all these robots that are kind of on a loop of, playing out all these scenarios. So, you can go there and the robots are indistinguishable from humans. They look and act just like a human. So you can go there and they can't hurt you, but you can hurt them. So basically all these rich people go here as like fantasy fulfillment to be out in the Old West. So there's a lot of, with these robots being so advanced, there's a lot of questions of, at what point is it sort of inhumane, even though they're robots, like how they're being treated. And it asks a lot of these kind of philosophical questions about humanity. And Anthony Hopkins is in the, in the first season as kind of the mind behind the whole thing. And he's kind of like the creator of this whole deal. So the first season is honestly one of the best seasons of television out there. So highly, highly recommend. And even though I'm saying season 2 is a disappointment, I still think you should watch it. So for me, I think season 2 was a big disappointment because there in the first season, there's a lot of there's a couple different twists, and some are a little more obvious and some are mind blowing, but it all kind of fits together in a complete story. So a lot of people even had questions of like, how are they going to do season 2? Because this season 1 just felt like so complete. Now for season 2, what's disappointing is it just feels like it tries too hard to mess with you and keep you guessing. And because they tried so hard to do that, to kind of subvert, expectations and to do things out of order and just, be ultimately ends up being too confusing. And then at the end, it didn't lead to anything that I found to be like worth all of that. And it was just trying too hard to be like, oh, you're never going to guess this twist. You're never going to guess that. Mm-hmm. And then you're just like, oh, well, that ended up not being that great.
How
and some
long is
characters,
each episode, Ryan?
I'm sorry?
How long is each episode?
It's an hour long, but okay. I believe they're like 10 episode seasons, kind of like standard thing like Game of Thrones and other shows, other episodic dramas like that. But yeah, some characters that were great in the first season are not so great in this season. So it's definitely a step down. Still better than most shows on television, but with how masterful season 1 was, it's definitely disappointing to see that it is definitely fallen off in season 2, just because they were trying too hard to outplay the audience, basically.
Yeah, I remember there being a lot of hype for that show when it started.
It was over a year wait, so there definitely was a lot of hype, because I think when they initially released the first season, they didn't know if it was going to get picked up, so they weren't like ready and going and already working on the next season.
Oh, okay. I think it's always challenging for any series focused on drama, because I think with comedy, you can keep it stagnant, not in a bad way, but you can just keep people laughing. But with drama, you got to keep racing it up a notch, right? So maybe the second season for you, it's like, it's good, but considering everything you developed in the first one, it's just kind of passable at best.
Mm-hmm.
So,
all right.
I mean, with that,
we did our disappointment.
Give us some juicy stuff.
Yeah, we did our disappointment. And even though it's a disappointment, I still think you guys should watch that show. But number one, and this is my sales pitch to get you guys to watch this show and to get everybody listening to watch this show. My number one is Better Call Saul season 4. Now, most people are familiar with the show Breaking Bad. Better Call Saul is the prequel to Breaking Bad, and this show just keeps getting better and better every single season. And I'm so surprised that this isn't on the level of Breaking Bad yet as far as popularity, because I figured with how popular Breaking Bad was that this show would be a lot more popular. Now, season 1, I still think, season 1 of Better Call Saul, it maybe started a little slow, and that's what kind of dropped people off. And it's not the exact same show as Breaking Bad. There is a lot more focus on Saul is basically in Breaking Bad is kind of like this scummy lawyer guy, and this is his backstory of how he got to where he was in Breaking Bad.
How far back is it? Because I love Breaking Bad. So is it like 10 years back? Is there a time frame?
It's probably like 5 or 6 years back.
So not too far back.
Yeah, it's not too far, because there is a lot of characters from Breaking Bad that do show up, and the character of like Mike Ehrmantraut, who was in Breaking Bad, is also another main character in the show.
Ooh.
And then I don't want to spoil anything, but as the show goes on, you'll start to see more and more familiar faces. And at this point in time, in season 4, it's getting pretty close to Breaking Bad. But it's also interesting because in certain aspects, they actually flash forward beyond Breaking Bad, and you get little clips of Saul's life kind of post Breaking Bad. They give you little glimpses each season, so it's like you gotta wait like a year before you get the next like 2-minute clip of like him past Breaking Bad. So they do a really good job of like, it's like a little mini story that you're getting a little teeny piece each year.
So what's the tone of the series? Breaking Bad kept getting darker as the seasons went on. So how does this one fare?
It's definitely similar. It's first and foremost a drama. I think there's a little bit more comedy in this than you got in Breaking Bad, but it's still very much first and foremost a drama. And I would say in some ways you can see, because it's the same creator, Vince Gilligan, and I would say overall, Breaking Bad's probably, in my opinion, still the better show, because it's the flashier, more exciting. You got all this, crime, and it just, the premise itself is just so crazy and so much happens. But I would say in a lot of ways, you can see how Vince Gilligan has gotten even better at doing certain things and how he portrays relationships. There's a love interest in the story. Her name's Kim Wexler in the show, and that's Saul's kind of main love interest. And the way that they portray this relationship over the series of each season is masterfully done. And there's some montages that are just, they portray relationships in a way where it's like they're not just saying everything out loud. It's this whole like don't tell show, basically, the rule of cinema and TV and everything, and they do such a good job with that. It's unbelievable. And yeah, so season 4 is really where a lot of Breaking Bad stuff is like really ramping up, and like I said, each season gets better and better.
Is there going to be a 5th season? Like, how are they doing production wise?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe their 5th season, they've been on track every year. We've been getting a season. So I believe the 5th season should be coming out sometime either next summer or next fall. So you got time to catch up, and it's a very, very good show.
I may actually check it out, because it would be kind of similar to my experience with Breaking Bad, because I didn't watch Breaking Bad up until the 4th season was available, or it was midway. So if I start watching this, it's kind of like very similar.
The same thing.
Because I just love to binge watch series.
This may have the potential, like, I don't know when it's going to slow down. I don't know what year they are in relation to when Breaking Bad starts, but I'm like, man, Breaking Bad did 5 seasons. Like, they kind of did season 5 part 1, season 5 part 2. This show has the potential to actually go longer than Breaking Bad. It'll be interesting to see.
Keith, do you watch Breaking Bad? I forgot.
I have not. I've only seen like half of the first season, so all of this kind of goes over my head, but I've always been interested in Breaking Bad. Like, I've seen bits and pieces of it, like the stuff that kind of hit the mainstream, I guess. Like, you know how everybody knows that there's a scene where somebody basically gets destroyed in acid and stuff like that. Like, I know that about Breaking Bad, but I've never sat down and actually watched the show.
It's a fascinating series, and the first season, much like I guess many TV shows, it lays the groundwork for the characters. Like, don't base the series based on that season. Think about the characters, and then without spoiling.
It's not even like I hated the first season. It's just I never watched any more of it.
Yeah, it just fell off. Yeah, and I would say the same thing for season 1 of this show, where it only gets better from there. So it might start a little bit slow, and it leans heavier on the lawyer stuff than the kind of Breaking Bad, like, crime underworld stuff. But it starts to balance out later on, and the stakes always, keep getting higher and higher. So definitely, like, if you made it through season 1 and you're kind of like, definitely keep watching. But the order is still to definitely watch Breaking Bad first and then watch Better Call Saul, because then you'll appreciate all the little stuff that they put in as nods to people who watched Breaking Bad. So still watch it in that order, even though this is a prequel series.
So did you think that overall 2018 was a pretty solid year for entertainment?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I caught up on Infinity War after Keith recommended it. I actually just watched Black Panther, which I thought was okay. But there was a lot of great stuff. A lot of great video games came out this year. Some I haven't even had a chance to play yet, like Red Dead and God of War. So, and TV's just been TV's been in a golden era for quite a few years now.
Yeah, it's awesome. But everybody, if this is your first time listening to one of these favorite things of 2018 episode, we do have 2 available. One about Mr. Keith Poshik. Then the other one is about yours truly, Juan Velas. You can check that out in our catalog over at the YouTube channel, youtube.com/acastofthepast. We're also on your favorite podcast app. And if you enjoy these conversations, definitely consider dropping a review. We post a new episode every Sunday. What happens is one episode, like any of your previous ones where we talked about the Super Mario Brothers movie, Resident Evil 2, A Link to the Past, The Matrix, those are extended conversations that usually go for over an hour. And then these are smaller episodes that we have a more laid-back opportunity to talk about general things we may not otherwise get to and other things. And speaking of some of our upcoming episodes, we have Toy Story, the first one coming up on January 27th. And I hope you guys are excited for that as I am. I know, Keith, you have some concerns about the graphical quality of the first one, right?
I do. And at this point, I have seen Toy Story, and I look forward to arguing about them come that episode.
Oh boy. And then on February 10th, we're going to be talking about an 80s movie, which everybody listening and watching, you guys voted on Twitter, A Cast of the Past. We're going to be reviewing Breakfast Club on February 10th. So,
dun dun, hey 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 hey,
don't you? No, we're going to get a copyright strike. We definitely don't want that.
But right.
Consider joining the Discord channel, acastofthepast.com/Discord, so you can talk about any of the previous episodes. So, hope you guys had a blast, and let's see what 2019 holds. Hopefully, it's a lot more awesome stuff. And we can now finally conclude this. Ryan, thanks to you, our 2018 was finally able to get closure, Ryan.
Indeed.
It happened, finally.
It's finally done. It's finally done.
See everyone in December for our 2019 best picks.
December, Ryan, not January. Right here on A Cast.
To the
past.
Yeah, that was good.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
We're definitely getting there. Take care, everybody.